Good morning to all and welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. What is today's enrichment? What are you going to learn from today's session? You are going to get an insight into reading comprehension skill based on the editorial and also important grammar aspects and as usual editorial vocabulary, which is very important. Besides, you're going to work on practice questions based on exam topics, and today's exam topics are error location, phrase replacement, phrasal verbs, and also one set on synonyms. Now let us go to the editorial. Today's editorial is all about elections in France and the result. It's all about that. Not too many words, but some words are important. Let us start with editorial vocabulary. The very first word, ally, singular, allies, plural. So you can make out the part of speech is a noun, allies. Ally, singular. A state formally cooperating with another for a military or other purpose. Usually, at the time of the war or at the time of the elections, two or three countries or two or three parties come together, they try to cooperate. Then we use the term ally, singular, allies. Not audible. Is it audible or not audible? Please respond. Is everything all right? Audio and video. Someone says not audible. Everything is perfect. Fine. So the very first word, thank you. The very first word, allies. Allies, plural, I have just explained. Next, we have already got the word amid. Amid, part of speech, preposition. Surrounded by, in the middle of, we have got so many times. Disillusionment, an important word. Obviously, you can make out the part of speech is noun. Thank you very much. So, what does it mean? Disillusionment, a feeling of disappointment resulting from the discovery that something is not as good as one believed it to be. You believe something to be. No, there's no problem. People say, please check your, students say, please check your settings before you post. Please check before you comment. Please check your settings. If there is a problem, a lot of students will respond. They say, sir, there's a problem regarding audio, video. One or two students respond. That means the problem is not here, the problem is at your end. Disillusionment, it goes with you expect something to be good, and it may not be up to your expectations. Then you get, it results in disillusionment. Complicated, adjective, complicated information, complicated stuff consisting of many interconnecting parts or elements, intricate, complicated. Intricate is an important word. And opposite, simple, plain. Status quo, we have got this also many a time. It goes with polity. The existing state of affairs, especially regarding social or political issues. Imagine there is a political issue and the same status continues. Then we say status quo. That's an important one. There is existing state of affairs, especially regarding social or political issues. Anti Semitic, this we have got for the first time. Part of speech, adjective. You come across this in Europe, in the US. Anti Semitic, what does it mean? Hostile to or prejudiced against the Jewish people. Against the Jewish people, if a lot of people are against or they have the hostile attitude. Hostile, an important word, already have got many a time. Hostile means what? Enmity, antagonistic attitude, and not friendly. Hostile to or prejudiced against the Jewish people. Then we use the word anti Semitic. Please remember an important one. Establishment, a business organization, public institution, or household. But in this context, it goes with the government. And part of speech is noun. Decisive, we have got once or twice. Part of speech, adjective. Settling an issue, producing a definite result. Decisive result means what? A definite result. Surge, upsurge, both mean the same. And surge we have got many a time. It could be a noun, it could be a verb, but here I have brought it as a noun. An upward surge in the strength or quantity of something. Simply you can remember an increase or a sudden forward movement. Populism, a person, especially a politician, who strives to appeal to ordinary people who feel that their concerns are disregarded by established elite groups. Common man feels bad about something and a particular leader appeals to those people, then we use the term populism. Sovereignty also goes with polity. Sovereignty, part of speech noun, supreme power or authority. India is a sovereign country, means what? Not controlled by any other country, politically independent, and supreme power or authority. Islamophobic. You all know the word phobia. Phobia means what? Fear. Based on that, we have a new word over here, Islamophobic, part of speech adjective, dislike of or prejudice against Islam or Muslims, especially as a political force, not individually, as a political force. Surge, as I said, surge, upsurge both mean the same. A sudden, powerful forward or upward movement, especially by a crowd or by a natural force such as a tide. This surge goes with generally a group of people, sudden forward movement, and also tides, high tide, you come across the surge. But we have done so many editorials related to COVID 19. There also we came across the word surge. A sudden increase, surge of cases means what? A sudden increase of cases. Rhetoric. This goes with public speaking, part of speech noun, the art of effective or persuasive speaking or writing. Usually it goes with speaking, not with, sometimes rarely goes with writing. The art of effective or persuasive speaking or writing, especially the exploitation of figures of speech and other compositional techniques. It's a special skill, a rhetoric, and usually it goes with public speaking, it goes with politicians. Credible, an important word we have got once or twice. Credible information, credible news means able to be believed, convincing, authentic, acceptable, edible. Eloquence also you can recollect. Very good. Tackle, verbiage. Okay, good. Tackle, part of speech verb. Make determined efforts to deal with a problem or difficult task. Usually it goes with a problem. Tackle the problem. Sometimes it goes with persons, tackle that person. Disaffected, dissatisfied, especially with people in authority or a system of control. With the government, you can say. Those are the words from the editorial. Now let us go to the editorial. How does it start? Victory and challenge on re-election of Emmanuel Macron. It's all about French elections and the result. And also, no, both are different. Rhetoric goes more with public speaking. Victory and challenge. Here, at the time of elections, imagine a particular party comes to power. There are two things. One is victory. They have to celebrate, that is one thing. But at the same time, challenge. The party, the individual may face a lot of challenges. Keeping that in mind, the editorial, the first two words, victory and challenge. On the one hand, victory, on the other hand, challenge or challenges. And it is what is the backdrop against the backdrop of French elections on re-election of Emmanuel Macron. This is the second time. Last week also, I brought one editorial related to Emmanuel Macron French elections, and this is 24th. That time also we had the information on 24th. So based on that, this editorial has been written. Victory and challenge on re-election of Emmanuel Macron. Macron will have to, but what is the main idea of this editorial? Based on his re election. Usually, a particular party comes into power, a particular person gets the authority, he or she faces a lot of challenges. An editorial like this definitely talks about the different parties in France and the leading parties, the popular parties, and how, to what extent they could garner the support of the electorate, all these aspects. Besides, it talks about the present scenario. Based on the present scenario, what are the challenges the newly elected president going to face? In the long run, what is he supposed to focus on? And different sections of the society usually not satisfied. And it deals with all these dimensions. When you go through this editorial, you come across all these dimensions. But what is the main idea of this editorial? Macron will have to address the disaffection among the working classes to deal with the far right. In this editorial is all about polity, elections, and you come across expressions like centrist, far right, far right, far left, and not at the outset a bit difficult to understand. But you read once or twice, you will be able to understand, you will be able to comprehend. Usually, centrist, a balanced view, neither this side nor that side, and far right, conservatives, far left, socialists. The editorial talks about these aspects, but you need a bit of political background in the sense awareness related to politics and elections, then you can easily follow. Macron will have to address. This is an important expression I have already said. A lot of people wonder which tense is this. Actually, this particular expression has two aspects. One is it deals with the future time. The other one, it is related to a particular helping verb. What is that? Have to. Macron will have to. Already you have learned the function of the helping verb have to. What is a function? It's always better if you recollect and write. That helps in the long run. You will be able to remember and consolidate. Have to is a helping verb, a model used to express an obligation. Obligation is a key word imposed by an external authority or a situation. Two dimensions. One is external authority, the other one a situation. In this context, a situation, and the helping verb will, it refers to future. So it's a combination of in future something related to a particular obligation. Macron will have to address again an important expression, deal with or tackle the disaffection. Disaffection means not satisfied. Some people, a particular section of the society, not satisfied. Disaffection means dissatisfied. Will have to address the disaffection among the working classes to deal with the far right. So the message is the main idea of the editorial. The president, Emmanuel Macron, will have to address or deal with or focus on the disaffection, dissatisfaction among the working class. Working class, again, you have to know two terms. One is white collar jobs, white collar workers. The other one, blue collar workers. What is the difference? White collar intellectuals, they use the brains, and blue collar manual, lower rung. So working class usually refers to blue collar workers. To deal with the far right, as I said, you come across expressions like centrist, far right, far left. Now it talks about the election, what happened on Sunday, and how many parties and what was the position, to what extent they could garner support. The re election of Emmanuel Macron in Sunday's presidential race is a relief not just for France's political centrists, but also for its allies in Europe and America. This talks about the victory, and based on this result, it's a sort of relief not just for France's political centrists, but also here there's one important expression. Usually, parallel expression, bank exams quite often they ask questions related to parallel expression. And one of the examples, not only but also, a lot of students have a fixed idea. Whenever we come across not only, obviously we have to look for but also. And what is this parallel expression? Imagine after not only there is a verb, after but also we have to use a verb. After not only there is an adjective, after but also we have to use an adjective. That's what precisely we call parallel expression. But English, the problem with English, we have rules, we have exceptions. Here, do you see the word only? You don't see. It doesn't mean that the sentence is wrong. Sometimes you may not see the word also after but. Always keep things open when it comes to English. We have rules, we have exceptions. This sentence talks about the impact of the election, the impact of the result. The re-election of Emmanuel Macron in Sunday's presidential race is a relief, something positive. Not only would have been better, not just for France's political centrists, but also for its allies in Europe and America. So a relief not only for Macron represents the centrist, political centrist. So obviously the centrists must have felt very happy. It was a relief for them. Besides the centrists, it was a relief also for allies in Europe and America. There's one word, allies, a state, singular ally, a state formally cooperating with another for a military or other purpose in Europe and America. A positive note. Editorial starts on a positive note. The election took place. Now it provides a backdrop information. How, when it took place, how it took place, what exactly happened. The election took place amid crisis. We have got so many times the word amid. I'm sure you guys know. It's a preposition. What does it mean? Surrounded by, in the middle of. The election took place in the middle of crisis, amid crisis. There's an important word, not crisis, crisis. What is the difference between SIS, SES? Don't say the spelling is different. Crisis, SIS is singular, crisis, plural. Obviously, the election took place amid crisis. Then the writer has to substantiate a crisis, two or three problems. One, high inflation. Second, Russia's invasion of Ukraine that pushed France into a difficult choice of imposing sanctions on Moscow, even at the cost of higher energy prices. And the third one, growing political disillusionment among the country's youth. This election took place amid a particular, not one problem, many problems based on that crisis, surrounded by a lot of problems, crisis plural. The election took place amid crisis. What are those problems? One, high inflation. Second, Russia's invasion of Ukraine that pushed impact of the Ukraine war that pushed France into a difficult choice of imposing sanctions on Moscow, even at the cost of higher energy prices. Because of the war, a lot of countries got affected, especially European countries, because they depend on Russia for energy. And sanctions indirectly affected many European countries. The second problem, or the second crisis. The third crisis, growing political disillusionment among the country's youth. There's one word, disillusionment, part of speech noun, a feeling of disappointment. You expect something to be good, but later you realize it is not good enough or not up to your expectations. Then you get disillusioned, means what? You get disappointed. These are the problems. Against this backdrop, the elections took place. Then editorial talks about the first round, the second round. There was a runoff. Last time when I brought the editorial related to elections in France, we came across one particular expression, runoff. Runoff means what? Initial election, it was a tie-up, no decisive result. Then they go for further elections or further competition. For that, we use a word, the expression run off. So here, the first round had seen the far right. As I said, this editorial, you come across expressions like far right, far left, and centrist. Macron belongs to centrist. The first round had seen the far right rising to its highest ever levels. Who represented or who represents far right? Marine Le Pen and Eric Zemmour together gathered more than 30% of votes that first round. Yet, Mr. Macron secured a decisive victory in Sunday's runoff with 58.5% vote share against Ms. Le Pen's 41.5%, showing that the center can still hold in France. Centrists can still hold in France. As I said, this talks about the centrists, the far right, the far left. Here, there's one important word, decisive. What does it mean? Settling an issue, one meaning, or producing a definite result. Here, decisive victory, something very clear, decisive victory. This sentence talks about what exactly happened in the first round or during the first round. It talks about the far right rising to its highest ever levels. Far right, represented by Marine Le Pen and Eric Zemmour, together gathered more than 30% of votes. Yet, we use the word yet, it has two or three functions. In this context, as a conjunction, it means contrast. It is used to express a contrast. Yet, Mr. Macron secured a decisive victory in Sunday's runoff with 58.5% vote share against Ms. Le Pen's 41.5%, showing that the center can still hold in France. It talks about in the final Sunday's election, Macron secured a decisive victory. Decisive, an important word, something definite, producing a definite result. And center can still hold something. It can influence power. Here, center means centrists. And editorial talks about the president, his backdrop, his background, the banker turned politician, Macron, the banker turned politician who emerged as a surprise champion of French Republican values against an upsurge of far right populism 5 years ago, managed to rally the anti populist base once more. It talks about the background of or the backdrop or background of Mr. Macron, Mr. Macron, the banker turned politician who emerged as a surprise champion of. Here, champion means one who works for or talks about or advocates the problems of a particular group. In this context, sections of the society. Champion of, or it could go with certain values or traditions. Champion of French Republican values against an upsurge. Then there's one important word, upsurge. Upsurge, surge, in a way one and the same. An upward surge in the strength or quantity of something. You can also simply think of the word sudden increase or an increase. Upsurge of far right populism. Populism, another important word, goes with polity. It goes with a politician, especially a politician, who strives to appeal to ordinary people who feel that their concerns are disregarded by established elite groups. Usually, a leader who deals with or who addresses, appeals to a particular section of the society or a few sections based on their dissatisfaction, then we use the term populism. He went to the voters with three broad themes. How could he come to power? Usually, at the time of elections, every party has a manifesto. In that manifesto, they talk about what they're going to do, what their objectives are. Based on that, here it talks about, editorial talks about, with what was his agenda. He went to the voters with three broad themes. First one, his administration's economic performance, whether he did well or not, obviously, he must have said they did well. A defense of France's republican values, second point, and support for European sovereignty. So, three broad themes his agenda, political agenda, or manifesto, one word you have to recollect. His administration's economic performance, a defense of France's republican values, and support for European sovereignty. Sovereignty, an important word, supreme power or authority, not being controlled by anyone. While France's quick return to growth and low unemployment rate helped him project a convincing macroeconomic picture, his attack on Ms. Le Pen as a threat to the French Republican values and the tough line he took on Ukraine allowed him to mobilize a liberal, center right, and pro European sections of voters. This talks about from where he got the support, from where he garnered support, and based on what. While France's one factor, quick return to growth, positive in his favor, and low unemployment rate, positive in his favor, helped him. Again, try to recollect causative verbs help, make, get, have. They don't take the preposition to in active voice. In the exam, they may give helped him to project. No, not correct. Helped him project a convincing macroeconomic picture based on these two factors. Not only that, besides that, his attack on Le Pen as a threat to the French Republican values and the tough stand he took on Ukraine allowed him to mobilize a liberal, center right, and pro European sections of voters. Different sections of voters he could mobilize on the basis of these factors. Mr. Macron's victory offers stability for both France and the European Union. Whenever you come across the word both, you have to be alert and recollect one important rule. They have given many a time. What is it? common error, a lot of people tend to say both as well as, that is not the right combination. Both takes the word and, not as well as, that you have to recollect. Both and, a common error, both as well as, that is not correct. Mr. Macron's victory offers, so this victory, what does it offer? To whom does it offer? Offers stability, one thing, for both France and the European Union. But however, a closer look at the two rounds of elections, first round and Sunday's round, the second round, provides a more complicated picture. Apparently, obviously, from at the outset, it looks as if something, it looks positive, but a closer look at the two rounds of elections provides a more complicated picture, complicated, intricate, not simple. What is that complicated picture? The French political landscape. Landscape usually goes with artists, painters, and nature. But your political landscape, the French political landscape, historically dominated by the center right conservatives. Conservative, that's an important word. What does it mean? Usually we talk about traditions, values. In that context, we use the word conservative, but here it goes with the polity. It goes with, at the time of elections, parties. Conservative, a person who follows the tradition strictly. You should also recollect the word orthodox. Orthodox, conservative, traditional, they belong to one particular group. Center right conservatives and center left socialists. As I said, here you come across in this editorial a lot of terms that go with polity. Centrists, center right conservatives, center left socialists, far right, far left. You have to know, you have to have a bit of background related to polity, then you'll be able to comprehend. The French political landscape, historically dominated by the center right conservatives and center left socialists, has undergone a major transformation, change. Mr. Macron has emerged as a poster boy, an important expression. What does it mean, poster boy? It means a person who epitomizes or represents a particular quality or a particular feature. Mr. Macron has emerged as a poster boy of the centrist bloc, neither right nor left, center, centrist bloc, the largely status quoist voters. Status quo, an important expression. What does it mean? The existing state of affairs, especially regarding social or political issues. Nothing changes, same situation continues. Then we use the expression status quo. And its key challenges are from the far right, which has anti Semitic and Islamophobic roots. This talks about how he could emerge as an important leader, a political leader. It also talks about his challenges. Mr. Macron has emerged as a poster boy of the centrist bloc, the largely status quoist voters. And his key challenges are from the far right and the far right people, which has anti Semitic. Anti Semitic, you come across this if you go to Europe, if you go to the US, means what? A sort of whole hostile feeling, hostile attitude against the Jewish people, anti Semitic, hostile to or prejudiced against the Jewish people, and Islamophobic roots. Islamophobic, we all know the word phobia means what? Fear. And here, Islamophobic roots. What does it mean? Dislike of or prejudice against Islam or Muslims, especially as a political force, not individually, as a political force. And the third block, one more. The third block is led by leftist Jean-Luc Mélenchon, who finished third in the first round. The surge, sudden forward movement, a sudden increase. The surge of the far right and leftist candidates suggests that there is widespread voter anger towards the establishment, means the government, widespread voter anger. And the far right populist, with their cocktail of anti establishment, welfarism, and anti immigrant rhetoric, an important word, rhetoric means what? The art of effective or persuasive speaking or writing, especially the exploitation of figures of speech and other compositional techniques. This talks about another group, and the far right populist with a cocktail. Last week also when I brought the editorial, we came across this particular expression cocktail. What does it mean cocktail? Usually it goes with drinks, hot drinks. Two different hot drinks are mixed, then we use the term cocktail. And you have to recollect the word mocktail. When we try to mix fruit juices, different fruit juices, then we use the word mocktail, but here cocktail of anti-establishment. In this context, cocktail means what? Different elements, different aspects. Cocktail of anti-establishment welfareism and a mix of anti-establishment welfareism and anti-immigrant rhetoric. Anti-immigrant rhetoric seem to be better equipped to tap this anger than the leftists. So, who are the challenges for Mr. Macron? Far right populist and the leftist. But who has got a better, who has got an advantage? The editorial opines far right populist because of the cocktail approach. What is it? A mix of anti establishment welfareism and anti immigrant rhetoric. Miss Le Pen may not be strong enough as of now. An important phrase. Le Pen may not be strong enough. Again, you have to recollect enough is an important word. It can be an adjective, it can be an adverb. As an adjective, it is not that important from the exam point of view, but as an adverb, it is important. It comes after an adjective. He has enough money. Money is a noun, enough adjective, not that important, exam point of view. But she is clever enough, clever adjective, enough adverb, and clever enough, strong enough. These expressions are very important. In many exams, they have given questions based on the word enough. You should also recollect the difference between enough and too, T double O. Enough has a positive connotation. What does it mean? Sufficient. Too has a negative connotation. What does it mean? Excess. Even that you have to recollect. Le Pen may not be strong enough as of now to capture power, but she was strong enough to pose a credible challenge to Mr. Macron. Credible, usually it goes with information. Credible information, credible news means what? Believable. Opposite, incredible. Incredible means what? Unbelievable. In his victory speech, Mr. Macron admitted that there is growing anger among sections of the voters towards the political establishment and promised to tackle it. After the victory, usually the president or the prime minister addresses the country, a particular country, and that is known as and speaks. That is known as a victory speech. In his victory speech, Mr. Macron admitted that there is growing anger among sections of the voters towards the political establishment, that means the government, and promised to tackle it, deal with it. How does the editorial end? Excuse me. Going forward, his biggest challenge, it starts with victory and challenge. Going forward, his biggest challenge would be to reach out to the disaffected sections of society, disaffected, dissatisfied sections of society, address the growing anger in the underbelly of the working class. I should have brought it in red. There's one important expression. It has two different meanings. Underbelly, belly you all know, underbelly, it means in this context, a vulnerable section, vulnerable part of a particular person or a particular section. Underbelly of the working classes means a vulnerable part of the working classes. One meaning. Underbelly also means particular section, a particular section, not positive, negative side, or crime related to crime of a society. That is also known as underbelly. But in this context, it means vulnerable area, vulnerable spot, and build credible alternatives to far right problem. So this talks about what are the challenges and what is he supposed to focus on. Going forward, his biggest challenge would be to reach out to the disaffected sections of society, address the growing anger in the underbelly of the working classes, and build credible, acceptable, believable alternatives to the far right problem. This is all about the editorial. Now let us go to questions based on this editorial comprehension point of view. What is this editorial about? What is a relief not just for France's political centrists, but also for its allies in Europe and America. Easy to answer. So many keywords. What provides a more complicated picture in the context of the editorial? A question like this, you have to look for keywords like complicated picture. Then you'll be able to write the answer. Who finished third in the first round? Editorial talks about three different groups who finished third in the first round. So you have to navigate, locate, and write the answer. Was strong enough to pose. Something is missing here. This should have been, I think it should be here. Was Le Pen strong enough to pose a credible challenge to Macron? Yes. The editorial says yes. So you have to start with the word yes and elaborate that idea. Was Le Pen strong enough to pose a credible challenge to Mr. Macron? That's all about the editorial. Now let us go to practice questions based on exam topics. As I said, today I have brought error location, phrase replacement, quite challenging. Then we have synonyms, and as usual, editorial vocabulary and phrasal verbs. Let us go to the first one. The Indian government should make sure that men and women are given equal opportunity. Yes, more than usual time. More than the usual time. The Indian government, nothing wrong, should make sure that should has two functions. One, it is used to advise or suggest someone. Second, it is used to express a possibility, less chances. No, nothing wrong with R. Very good. Who is this? Srinivas, Dontu. I appreciate. Here, there is an error. The Indian government should make sure that men and women are given equal opportunity. We use a plural noun here, not opportunity, it has to be opportunities, not the singular form, the plural form, because it's a general statement. It is not about a particular thing. Generally, equal opportunities are provided. We provide active voice, are provided passive voice. Here are given, it is in passive voice. Equal opportunities, equal chances. So there is an error. The last word, it is not correct. Yes, obviously. But men and women are given. That goes with men and women. Janet is determined to be success in whatever field she chooses. This is an easy one. Yes, Bharat is the first one to respond. It is based on word forms. Right word, wrong form. Here, success is a noun. A girl, a woman, Janet is determined to be successful, not to be successful. So, what is the right form? Successful. Exactly. To succeed, you can say that also. A different pattern. There are two patterns over here. She is determined to be successful, one pattern. Determined to succeed, another pattern. But you cannot use the word success. So, what is the question based on? It is based on word forms, right word, wrong form. And remember both the patterns, to be successful, to succeed. Either way, it is correct. This is an important question. You may ask why. It goes with common errors. I cannot able to teach you how to learn the guitar if you do not show any interest in music. This is an important question in the sense they have given many a time based on in the exam when it comes to common error location questions based on errors, 80% based on rules, 20% based on common errors. This goes with common errors. There are two expressions. One with the helping verb can. I can do that. The other able to. I am able to do that. Common error, a lot of people, those who are not good at English, some of those who are reasonably good at English, use both in the same clause. That is not acceptable. I can able to. A common error. What is a common error? I can able to do that. Is this right or wrong? You cannot use both. I can able to, not correct. I can do that. I'm able to do that. Here, simply, I cannot teach better. I'm not able to teach. I cannot teach you. I am not able to teach you. I cannot teach you. I'm not able to teach you. I can do that. I'm able to do that. Don't use both in the same clause. It's a common error. Exactly. There is, I'm sorry about that, it should be in small letter. There is appearing to be a shortage of skilled staff in the organization. This is also an easy one, should not be a problem. It goes with a standard phrase. Very good. What is a standard expression? There appears to be, seems to be, appears to be. We cannot use is appearing, not correct. We cannot use the word appear in ing form, present participle form in this context. There appears to be a shortage of skilled staff in the organization. This is a universal problem. So what is this based on? And the tense, which tense is this? Present tense. Strictly speaking, spiders are not insects, although most people think them are. This is a bit strange in the sense spiders are considered insects by a lot of people, but strictly speaking, they are not. An easy one. What is the subject? Spiders. Strictly speaking, spiders are not insects, although contrasting information. Most people think they are. Spiders. We cannot use the object form of the pronoun. We have to use a subject form. Spiders, they are. Then it is correct. It is related to what is the question about? Pronoun, subject, form. Pronoun, subject, form. We have to use a subject form. Third person plural. Today, the phrase replacement questions, a few are quite challenging. Try to get all the 5 correct. Listening carefully to the TV discussion, one was discern 2 possible lines of inquiry. You have to read very carefully. Don't be hasty. No, no, no. You got to read very carefully. You have to understand the context. You have to know the meaning of the word discern. Discern means to find out, to recognize. Very good. Who is this? Kiran Kumar. Grammar knowledge also matters here. Listening carefully to the TV discussion. One verse here you cannot use it in passive voice. They were discerned, not correct. One is discerning, again not correct. Someone have, grammatically not correct. One discerned two possible lines of inquiry. Discern means what? Find out or recognize. Listening carefully to the TV discussion, one discern means one found out two possible lines of inquiry. Answer is the second option. Not easy. I appreciate all those students who have chosen the second option. Under pressure, not at all easy. That is highly appreciable. Migratory animals have become the global flagship to many of the press issues of our time. One of the meanings in this context to discern means to recognize, to identify, to distinguish. Based on that, you have to choose the option. After listening, one found out, past. Migratory animals have become the global flagship to many of the press issues of our time. Flagship for migratory animals have become the global flagship. All the options you have flagship to many of the press issues. For many of the pressing issues, we don't say press issues, we say pressing issues. So where do you have issues, plural, not singular, not correct, pressing issue, not singular. You take elimination approach, pressing issues, that's a standard expression, means what? Important problems, problems to be tackled immediately. Only one option has pressing issues. Based on that, migratory animals have become the global flagship for many of the pressing issues. Answer is the first option. As I said, today the phrase replacement questions are not easy. If you say after all the five correct, that is highly appreciable. What is this no, Madhav? This move is expected for mitigate. You should be able to make out. Is expected takes a preposition to. Is expected to. Based on that, reject this one. Expects of. Expectation of. Is expectant. Is expected to mitigate. Mitigate, an important word. Means what? To make something less severe. Mitigate, alleviate, assuage, all synonyms you have to recollect. Answer is the third option. Good, very good. The craze for private hands has caught the fancy of the city's residents. This is based on an idiomatic expression, catch the fancy. Means what? To become popular. Caught the fancy of someone or a particular group means it became very popular among those people. The craze for private hands has caught the fancy. Here you can use your grammar knowledge has. After that you need the verb in the past participle form. Based on that, catch is not correct, catching is not correct, catch is not correct. You are left with only one option. Whether you know the meaning or not, it doesn't matter. Caught the fancy, a fancity, not correct. That means what? No correction required. No, 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 no. There's nothing like fancity. Caught the fancy means become popular. This is an idiomatic expression. Catch the fancy of the youth. Caught the fancy of the youngsters means what? It became very popular among the youngsters. Answer is the fifth option. I would like to reiterate. No correction required. That is the answer. You have to know that idiom, only then you can answer. Otherwise, not possible. The whole process of implementing these kinds of strategies in this nation, which is very important, you can reject this one based on knowledge related to word forms. Important adjective, importance noun. Here we have to use the adjective form. How many options with important? All the four options. Now read very carefully. Which are very important is being ignored. Which is very important is being ignored. The whole process of implementing these kinds of strategies in this nation. Now, what is the subject here? The whole process, which is very important, is being ignored. You need to use a singular verb here, which are not correct. Okay, fine. Here we have to use which are very important is being ignored. Let me correct. The whole process, this is a subject, of implementing these kinds of strategies in this nation, which are very important. Here, strategies we have to use which are very important, are being ignored, is being ignored. Here, we have to use are, we have to use important, we have to use a singular verb is. Based on that, it is not is because it talks about the strategies in this nation which are very important, which was you cannot use a singular verb. Based on that, what is the answer? The first option is the answer, not the second option. First option. You may ask why. Which are very important. This goes with strategies, so plural. And we cannot use the word importance, we have to use important. And the subject is what? The process. There's a comma. The process is being ignored on the other side. Process singular is being. No second thoughts. Answer is the first option. Has anyone got all the five correct? Phrase replacement. This is, I forgot to change. Please answer my question. Has anyone got all the five correct? If you say yes, that is highly appreciable. 3, good enough. 4, appreciable. All the five correct, highly appreciable. Peril, what is a synonym? Danger. Good, good. 3 is good enough. Roughness, no. Rough, there is one word you have to recollect. Rugged, rustic. Related words. Insecure, no. Anger, no. Thrashing. What is a synonym of thrash? First one and the last one. The first one and the last one. Challenging. Thrash someone. Thrashing someone. Pernicious, dangerous. Raw and rustic, rugged. Bashing is the answer. Very good. Beat someone severely. Beat severely. There is one idiomatic expression to beat someone severely. What is that idiomatic expression? You have to recollect. Beat black and blue. Beat someone black and blue means what? Beat someone severely. This is an important idiomatic expression. Edifies, impressive building. What is the meaning of that? Impressive building. Fabricate, create. Prefabrication, create beforehand. Contour means outline. Outline of something. Here, this is not the answer. Answer is the third option, bash. Beat black and blue. Yes. Bashing. But there is another birthday bash. Have you heard of that? That has a different meaning altogether. Persist. Persist means what? Resist, leave, quit, continue. Persist. Something persists. You have to recollect the word. Last. Not last, last. Last for a long time. Persist, not resist. Oppose, not leave, not quit. Continue. Persist means what? Continue. Quit, you have to recollect the phrasal verb give up. And I have given the quote twice or thrice. Winners never quit, quitters never win. You have to recollect. I would like to repeat. Winners never quit, quitters never win. Eventually, I use one expression quite often, in the long run. So eventually means what? Exactly. Quitters never win, winners never quit. Eventually, previously, no. Briefly, no. Finally, successfully. Eventually means finally, in the long run, ultimately. Finally is a better word. In the long run. Ah, very good. Lavish party, yes. Big bash. Phrasal verbs. Now, yesterday I brought idioms, today phrasal verbs. To stop something that is harmful or dangerous from coming near. These phrasal verbs are important. So try to learn, remember, make sure they are at your fingertips. To stop something that is harmful or dangerous from coming near. So what is the answer? Yes. First one, answer is D, ward off. Very good. To tell someone to be careful or warn him or her of a danger. What do you say that time? Watch out. It is used quite often in conversational English. Watch out, something is there. Watch out, you may fall. Something gradually loses its effect. Wear out, wear off. B is the answer. Something gradually loses its effect. Then we use wear off. Look at the fourth one. Something gets old and damaged from being used. Wear out. Then we have to say worn out. To find and remove people or things that are not needed or wanted. Weed out. Has anyone got all the five correct? These phrasal verbs are important. Try to remember. Let us go to the last slide. What time is it? We have only 2 minutes. Try to respond quickly. Credible, able to be believed. Credible information. Adjective, answer H. Amid, preposition, in the middle of or surrounded by. J. Complicated information, that means adjective. Intricate. Status quo, an important expression. You can say noun. What does it mean? Existing state of affairs. D. Anti-Semitic, attitude or outlook. Adjective. Anti-Jewish. Establishment, noun. In this context, the government, public institution. C. Decisive, adjective. Settling an issue. Upsurge, noun. Surge could be a noun, could be a verb. In this context, an increase. Sovereignty, noun. means what? Supreme authority. India is a sovereign country. Ally, noun. State formally cooperating with usually two or three countries. They come together, they cooperate, then we use ally. Singular, allies, plural. If you say, sir, I got all the 10 correct, that is highly appreciable. That's all for today. Thanks for being with me till 9. Have a nice day. Do remember to subscribe and share. After the session, go to the description of the video, join the Telegram group. All that you have to do